It don't matter how hot the girls are. If your music is lame, we can help with that though. The Professional Adult Nightclub DJ Association presents Panda Off the Charts. Brand new tracks for the strip club industry to make your set sound fresher, more energized, and to keep things bumping. Here are your hosts, Danny Meyers, Elon Fong, and Bob Chiappardi.
Okay, well, as promised, we are here on Panda Off the Charts. So what's hot in the strip clubs podcast on Pantheon Podcast Network? Danny Meyers, Bob Chiappardi, Alon Fong, and Bob Chiappardi has brought us one hell of a guest. This guy coming on here has been the drummer for Godsmack since 2002. We got Shannon Larkin here with us. How you doing, Shannon?
What's up?
I'm great. Thank you.
I want to start by saying 2002. That's our your 20-year anniversary was this year.
Absolutely, man. And it's awesome. It was life changer. That phone call was awesome. I'm like Tom Brady. Yeah, that was awesome.
Well, I want to take you back 20 years, and I want you to tell me the story about how you joined Godsmack and what you had to do to join them. Did they ask you? Did you ask them? I don't know the story, so I'd like to hear it from you.
Well, I was in a band called Wrathchild back in the 80s, and we were playing in North Carolina. And this band called Lex Luthor opened up for us, and the drummer's name was Sully Erna. Oh. And we had a really fast friendship right away. And he came back to my hotel room that night, and we drank and partied and just exchanged numbers, and we remained friends all the way up until the point that Godsmack had made the first record, but it was unsigned. And all of a sudden they were moving literally like 5,000 records a week out of the trunk of their car and out of this place, Newbury Comics. And it was a Cinderella thing. And then it went on to a phone call from him to me. This was in 97. And saying, hey, man, come join my band. I'm singing now. I have this. We got all these major labels sniffing around, And I had just joined this band a year before that called Amen. And, we were signed already to Roadrunner, making our first record right at the time. And so I was like, I can't do it, bro. I just joined this band and blah, blah, blah. But we had remained friends, Sully and I, over that 14, 15 year period anyway. And so he was totally, he gets it. He knows I'm a pit bull, man. If I am in a band, I'm not using it as a stepping stone. I'm in it because I love it and I want to be in it. So anyway, so I didn't join the band. Amen came out. We sold, 5 records, and Godsmack came out and sold 5 million. And that's what happened. So I was like, okay, maybe it's not in the cards for me to be a rock star or whatever, but I kept on I did another Amen record, and it would have been like 5 years since I've been in the band, two records, and lots of tours, lots of fun. I don't regret a second of it, but it was punk rock. And I was about 32 years old at the time that I had my daughter. And I realized that living in a band like Amen with Casey Chaos, who is a true punk, and he would destroy the stage, destroy my drums. It would be a bloody event. For real though, he'd Kurt Cobain my drums every show, come crashing in. It was always blood, lots of vodka and drugs and all this crazy shit. So I was like, so me and the guitarist Sonny Mayo, we decided to leave the band Amen. And this was in 2002. And 2 weeks after I left that band, my phone rings. I'll never forget it because I was in my kitchen in Santa Barbara, California. I lived. And my wife's like, it's Sully calling. And for some reason I go, and by this point, the second record had come out and it sold millions and whatever. Right. They, were powerful and strong. And I always loved this guy anyway. And so, and it was sure enough, it was him saying, dude, it's no audition. You come to Boston, you play, and just make sure that as long as Robbie and Tony like you and you guys get along, you're in the band. So that's how it went, man. And I flew to Boston, and as they say, the rest is history. I mean, and the good part of this whole story is that 20 years later, we are way closer now as 4 dudes, and that's our biggest, our proudest moment. You could take all the accolades and go records, all that bull, but the biggest thing to us is that now we transcended all that crap that comes with all the bands that are long-term bands together, whether it's the just drama, interpersonal dramas, or publishing and money, and all, the three things that always break up a band, which is money, drugs, and ego. Yeah. And somehow we transcended that as dudes. And so we're at the point in our lives and careers where we genuinely love each other. And, hence we're going to make one more record and then ride it out in the sunset,
I love to hear that, man, that you guys, like you said, got through all that stuff. That's such a, like you said, so many of our favorite bands, fall apart, and you hear what jerks one or two of them are. And as a fan, sometimes you're like, oh, that's crushing, right? I mean, I know you're a big fan of bands too. So it's great to hear that you guys have accomplished that. And from talking to you just these brief couple minutes, I'm excited because normally it's always the lead singer or the lead guitarist. We get to hear it from the drummer, Mr. Shannon Larkin. We get to hear the cold, hard truth about Godsmack, a great band. You guys have been steady rocking now for 20 plus years. And, the interesting to me is you guys have always been sort of compared to Alice in Chains, and I've never heard it other than the fact that Sully is a baritone. Because most male rock singers are tenors, I think, right? He's a baritone and you detune. I think that's about the only thing you guys have in common with Alice in Chains. But so now Sully's the main songwriter, or do you guys all collaborate on that?
We all collaborate. He writes the majority of it. He writes the majority of the music, and he writes all the lyrics.
Okay.
And which I'm, as a lyricist, I've been writing lyrics ever since I was 15. I love it. It's one of the things that I always enjoyed about being in a band was that creative side. And when I joined this band, he was like, I write lyrics, and for him to be able to emote these lyrics, he feels they have to come from within him. I totally get that too.
Got it. Yeah.
And so I always have side projects, going on. And that's just what I've always, every band I've ever been in, even in Wrathchild, I always had side projects. I'm indefatigable. I can't sleep, so I write songs all the time,
Sure.
And some of them have gotten on Godsmack records, but most of them haven't because it's a completely different thing. But he writes on this new record. We started writing, and we had gotten off our last record, which was our most commercially successful record, and we had. And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying facts so you can see a timeline on how the new record turned out, how it did. So, we get 4 number ones off our last record, right? At Active Rock Radio, we've had number ones before, but never more than 1 per record, We'll chart in the top 10 or whatever. But so the last record technically was our most successful record, right? And that was the first record that he used outside writers, to come, and young producer Eric Ron, who he picked for his youth, and we wanted to. He's always trying to change the sound of the band, not so much that it alienates our fans, but enough that we don't feel like we're grinding the same wheel. You know what I mean? And as we get older too, it's a big issue with us. Looking at, I'll get into that later when you ask me why it's our last record. That's usually the question I get first. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But anyway, so the whole thing was for us was trying to get the songwriting in a place where it wasn't as heavy, as what we usually write when we're mad, because we were. Sure. We were young, mad metal rock musicians.
Yeah.
And so it's hard when you start to get older and successful. So you're not starving anymore, and you're happy. You're all of a sudden you're happy.
Yeah,
like
totally get it.
All your shit, everything's like firing on all cylinders, and you haven't made any flops, and all of a sudden you turn around and 15 years has passed, and you're like, how do we write songs for this fan base that wants to work out to our music or whatever,
right,
when you're not. So anyway, he enlisted Eric Ron, and they wrote most of the last record together. And then, so this one, he came to us and we had one song with Eric on this new record, and that's it. Everything else we did how we done all the other records, which is get in a room and either Sully, Tony, or myself will have a riff, and then we'll just start from there. And that's how every song's come about. And there's only been like 2 songs, one of them being Voodoo, that were written lyrically first, and then we're trying to write. But every other song starts with a riff and the 4 of us in a room, you know.
I love it. That's how it's supposed to be done in a rock band, right? So let me ask you this. Since you're the drummer, and we normally the drummers don't get to talk as much. I know this exception with this band, but give us the scoop on the drummer's perspective on things. You know, you're in the back of the stage, you're kind of watching everything go down, whether it's on stage or on tour. What can you tell us different about the drummer perspective that maybe people don't understand, that fans will dig to hear about?
Well, us drummers, it's funny because we talk about it, and it's like, you know, we have to be psychologists of the band too. Like, we're the dudes that are usually separating the guitarist and the singer from tearing their necks.
That's good.
Because most drummers are also known as like the crazy guy, the Keith Moon of the band. But really, I feel, you know, we're not only the backbeat musically, but we're the backbeat backstage. We're the dude that is settling the bass player down before we go on, so he doesn't have to throw up because of bad nerves. And we're the guy that's, again, you know, there was so much stuff that's going on in Godsmack that I feel directly responsible for the band staying together over the years. Really,
that's cool.
Just, you know, and I'm talking just normal drama stuff that happens within bands, and it's always sex, money, or ego. You know what I mean? Those 3 things.
Yeah. And
I really feel that, and every drummer I talk to, it's the same thing. We're kind of the rock, you know, of the band that everybody can lean on, you know. And I got one guy in this year saying this dude said this, and I got the first guy saying, you know, he's being unfair, you know, or whatever. But so I think we're the unsung heroes of the mental state of bands.
Amen, brother. Dr. Shannon Larkin is going to take over on Sunday or every day afternoon doing his own show. You can just interview rock stars and be like the Dr. Phil of rock stars. Do your own podcast. All right, man. Hey, well, let's talk about, so the new track, we love it. It's already been charting. You've already made the Panda Top 20. Surrender has been doing very well. And I love the song. I think it goes back to your kind of old school sound, the original sound in many ways. And it's got a good groove, and it's, you know, you've gone back to your roots, but it's still fresh and different. You know what I mean? So we're going to play some of it. I'll let Danny take it from here.
Okay, so what we do is we play about 1 minute of your song, if you can hang with us, and then we're going to come back and talk about the song, find out about this last music record, this last album coming out, and things like that. So we'll do that, and this is Godsmack Surrender.
You've always told me that you know me, but you don't really know me at all. You just played me and betrayed me and showed no sympathy at all. Why can't you just please surrender? Surrender what you promised. Surrender what I need. Why can't you just see that sweet surrender in me? One time, surrender to me.
Damn, I'm watching you basically almost air drum this thing, and I can just picture it. First of all, I love the song. As soon as Bob sent it to me, I can't remember how long ago. It's been 3 weeks, 2 weeks, or whatever. I started playing it immediately, and you know, it's great because my rock girls are loving it. My floor staff is loving it, and I mean, it's very identifiable because even one of my floormen came up and said, "Man, that sounds like Godsmack." I said, it is. So and it is charting on the Panda Top 20 Strip Club chart. So I think, what is it, number What did we have at it, Alon? I'm going to let him look.
We just recorded yesterday, but you're in the top 10, actually. You
Yeah.
already made it into the top 10, debuting in the top 10.
He wants
Yeah.
number one, though. He won.
It's at Active Rock. It's been number one for a couple
Wow.
weeks. I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do theirs every week. We do ours every month. So that's the
Yeah.
only reason we're a little bit behind you.
Yeah.
So yeah, our chart just came out a couple of days ago. So you've already debuted up there very well. Bob brought the song to us last month on Panda Off the Charts. Now I remember how that all worked out. So yeah, I think it's an incredible song. It's an easy one. I put it on my own personal chart as well. I'm going to go up to Alon Fong here.
Yeah, as I was saying a minute ago, I love the track, and I haven't listened to it with headphones on, and now I am, and the bass line really pops in headphones. I was like, oh, that bass line is badass. The drumming is great too. Of course, I wanted to give you a shout out, by the way. So I have always played your guys' cover of Good Times, Bad Times, and that's saying something, because covering Zeppelin is a bitch. And I could be struck down for saying this, but I kind of think I like your drums better than Bonham's. I love your version. The drum sound you got, you played it very true to the original, but you had your own little, man, that you guys are so good on that track, musically and particularly. Oh my God. And the reason I started playing it was, you know, when you play older songs, the music production isn't as good. So in a club sound system, I wanted a big, fuller sound. And when you came out with it, the sounds you got are monstrous, and you're always that way, but on that track in particular. So mad props to you for the drumming on Good Times, Bad Time, which is a bitch to play anyways. There's so much syncopated stuff going on. Am I right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just pure love. That's pure love. That came through on tape because I love him, John Bonham. I loved him. Oh my God, when John Bonham died, I was in school, and my mom found out, and you know, I'm in, I don't know what class, but I hear on the PA system, Shannon Larkin to the front desk, right? And I'd heard that before, unfortunately. I'm like, oh, you know, wonder what I did now, you know? And then as I'm walking down the hall, left the class, I look up and my mom's standing up there.
Uh-oh.
And the first thing, of course, that came to mind, oh my God, my dad, you know, something happened to my dad. I was really scared. And the look on her face said somebody died, you know?
Yeah, sure.
And I walked up and she said, she blurted it right out, and John Bonham died. And it struck me, it wasn't as bad. The pain of it was lessened at first because of me thinking it was my dad.
Yeah, right.
It was okay. Oh, it was only, oh no. And so anyway, my cool mom, how cool my parents were. So she had come to school to tell me and take me home. So she took me home, and I remember just playing Led Zeppelin 2 over and over and doing bong hits and blowing it out the window.
I was going to say, man, the first thing that came in my mind, what a great mom. She must have loved you so much, obviously, to come down to school to tell you that your rock idol passed away. That's a phenomenal mom. So Mrs. Larkin, props to you for great parenting. That's just awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, we've got another member on the call here, Bob Chiappardi, and he comes to us from stripjointsmusic.com.
Where the girls at?
I got a button.
Where the girls at?
So it's, you know, it's easier to do. Bob, I mean, you and Shannon go back a ways, right?
Yeah, like Concrete Marketing. I mean, again, we worked Rathschild. I mean, was Peggy Dole, I think, was the product manager for that. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to think. I know she was also from. Anyway, I mean, but we Eric Lemasters over at the magazine. Everyone in the office of big bands. We always, we love the band.
Wasn't the drummer from Extreme the manager too?
Yeah, Paul.
Right? Paul Geary. Yeah.
Paul Geary. Yeah, Paul Geary. So Paul brought the band to me back in the Concrete days. But then we were working pretty much every heavy metal record at the time. So. But what do you call it? But we loved it. We loved it. I'm trying to think of there's something we did early on with you guys. I think I might have gotten you guys onto WWE soundtrack or something like that. Something really early. I'm trying to think of. I know there was some promotions and stuff that we did. But yeah,
the whole Concrete Foundation concert thing that used to happen, man. We played that.
Forum.
Yeah.
That was so fun, man. That was good times, Bob.
5,000 people in a hotel, heavy metal. Kevin Lyman doing the production. So we had the stages. crazy acts. I still can't believe no one died over the 10 years that we did this. No, imagine no one got gravely.
No Whitney Houston moments at your award show.
What's that?
No Whitney Houston moments at your award show.
No. It was, which shocked me, believe me, at the end of it. But those were great days. But yeah, you were a big part of the Concrete history, and I like to think we were a little part of your guys. So, it was good times. Good times. It's good to see you again.
Well, Shannon, your new album is coming out. Is it February 24th? The full album comes out February 24th. Is that right?
No? Lighting Up the Sky. It's called Lighting Up the Sky.
No clue, man. But yeah, I hear it's coming out next year.
Okay. Well, I'll put it this way. The internet tells me it's coming out February 24th. Yeah, so if the internet is correct, that's when that's coming out. You got some great music on there. But is this really going to be the last record?
It is. It is in the most positive light and the best way ever. Okay. My genius, I call Sully my genius. I swear, any band, you guys, all three of you know how hard it is in this business to make it and to have continued success for over a couple of decades. I mean, it's hard for any band.
Yeah.
Not everybody's Metallica. You know what I mean? And so, I call him my genius. He came to us. And he's had a plan that we've been on ever since I joined,
okay,
which was 2 years or 1 year to write and record the record, 2 years to tour it hard, and then a year off, away from each other, go home, meet your dogs again and your lovers or whatever, your pillow, these things we know. And then when you get back together again, man, you're excited again and you want to see your boys again, and it was always just a brilliant thing. So with those 4-year plan, we put a record out every 4 years, right? And so after we got, basically grounded, like I was saying earlier about, the last record had all these hits. And so we had toured throughout, probably 4 months of 2018, and then 2019, constant touring the whole world all over many times, all the year. Mm-hmm. And then 2020 came, and we got back to America from a European tour in December. And our fourth single was, climbing the charts again fast. And we're like, wow. And by February, it was number one. So we had booked another 6 months of touring to milk the Legends for Eyes and just go out there and just continue, ripping it up. And then guess what happened? COVID. Pandemic. Pandemic, the whole business shuts down, the world changes, blah, blah, blah. So we found ourselves in an awkward situation of, okay, well, I guess it's not so bad. We have, the record was a success. So let's get in and start writing and just carry on and see how the world moves and changes around us, Okay. And so it was actually really good timing for us. But so we move our studio. We have a recording studio that we do our records in, and we've had it for a long time. And it's moved from LA to Boston to Nashville. Well, at a really cool thing happened, and Sully decides, you know what, guys? And Robbie, Tony, and I live in Florida, and so Sully's like, you know what, guys? I'm going to move the studio to Florida and move to Florida. And we were like, awesome, finally,
Sweet.
And so it's like literally 7 miles from my house, and we all put the dough up. All four of us, we do everything together. Put the dough up, built the studio. We already have all the gear, millions of dollars worth of like gear, like soundboard and the SSL, all this crap that I hit drums, me play drums, but we have all that. We have that fancy stuff, you know what I mean? And so we move all our fancy stuff into a building down here, and it's beautiful, gorgeous, best one yet. And Sully, gets like a horse ranch with this girl that he'd had for years, and their love. And so we start writing the record, and we get through, like, we did have Surrender, because that was the one song that Eric Ron had sent. No lyrics or anything, but he sent those two riffs. The first big riff, da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the verse riff. And so he sent us those, and that kind of was like a starting point. So we wrote the song Surrender, and he came with some lyrics and everything, not complete, but because we moved on to the next song. Well, after about 3 months, so March, April, yeah, it's around 2 months, April. Well, this is 2021, by the way. Because
Okay.
2020, when everything happened, everything shut down, we all just stayed home for the whole year and said,
Sure.
we'll get together in February. It actually was January. So it was January, February, March. It was 3 months of writing, January through March. And he moved down to Florida and with the girl and all that. So, and then in March, he comes in, we all show up for practice and our writing sessions, practice, we call it still, but we all show up and he's like, hey guys, have a nice summer. And then he told us the story, and him and his girlfriend, broke up. But in the worst way, and so anyway, so he's like, yeah, so I'm going back north. He has a house in Boston. So he goes back to Boston, and we had written 13 songs we had sketches of on the board. And so, and he's our boy and we love him. And so me and Tony Robbie are like, oh man, that sucks for him and blah, blah, blah. And then we've been through this before, and he gets his heart ripped out. But man, we're going to have some hits from this. What I mean? Poor guy, but man, we're going to have a hit record. And that's how it's always been. So anyway, he goes up north, man, and he writes what I feel is his best work, in all these years. He's got so much better when he, everything about him, singing, he plays piano, all this stuff. And so he writes this great set of music, which is our new record. And that's when he asked us, about the final record thing and says, look, and there was some great points. That's why I look at it as such a positive thing. Number one being that, no flops in 20 years means we have, 12 number ones, for instance, and a bunch of other top 10, top 5 hits, right? So we are kind of like a little Aerosmith, to where
Hell yeah.
They did it and just said, hey man, this is our last studio record, but we're not breaking up. We're not doing a cash cow, go out and charge $600. Yeah, last time you get to see us, you pay $350 a ticket, and then 2 years later, there we are again, our old gray asses, So we didn't want to pull that crap, and so that was a point. And secondly, imagine it's a machine, this business, and we're in this big machine, we're part of this machine, and we keep, making records and touring, record tour break for years and years, and they're all successful. And it's like, we feel you start to, I'm not going to be drawing anything on my face like Prince or something, but you start to feel like you're working for the man. And so we finally earned a spot to where there's no more record label. We don't need anything really but an agent if we're not making product. And, so we're not going out peddling product anymore. And so we felt that was a very positive thing. And then the big elephant in the room, which is age, I don't care. Because I don't expect to grow old. I don't expect to look old, but I'm 55, man. And, playing, and I started playing the clubs with Ratcho when I was 13.
Wow.
So it's like, I feel like, I have climbed this mountain all my life and become what I always dreamt of becoming as a kid. And then,
awesome.
At some point, when does it come, what's next? Like Sully, he could go and he loves to act. He always wants to be an actor. Or, I could write a book or paint a picture or build my own, I build my own koi ponds and turtle ponds and stuff. You know what I mean? But I mean, ultimately this band, we understand it's going to define us. You know what I mean? We're musicians, and that's it's been our success, but it doesn't have to define us as people. And so we look at it like, look, we can make now a killer set, of 15, 17 songs, and then the big drum solo we do. And, and every song will be like, a fan known song for our fans. And and not that I don't want to imply that all fans don't want to hear new music, but I can tell you guys that the proof's in the pudding. And when we go out on a record cycle tour, we play new songs, and that's when people go to the bathroom or
yeah.
man. And so, like I said, I know that there's fans out there that would argue that do love records in that format, but most of today's world is an ADHD world. I mean, and like everybody downloads one song, you know what I mean? And like,
yeah, totally.
So we feel for freedom and for our age, which is the elephant in the room, because we're not, we toured the UK last month in October, and the band that opened was called The Raven's Age, and their guitar player is Steve Harris's son.
Oh, cool.
Their lead guitar, Steve Harris's son from Maiden, right? And
yep.
And so, they had the UK tour part of that European tour, and so they did like 6 shows in Scotland and in England and all that. And so I got to be friendly with the drummer, how we drummers do, and we're at catering or something, and I'm talking to him, and I just say, "Oh, how old are you, by the way?" And he's like, 23. I'm like, my daughter's 24, dude.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, and now I'm that old dude, man. And me and Rambola started talking about it, and he's like, "Yeah, man, remember in like 85 when we go and see Judas Priest, and we're probably 84, 83, 85, whatever. We're in our late teens, early 20s at the most. And you look up on stage, and these dudes are Judas Priest, probably like 35, 36 years old. And we're like, look at those old dudes. And, and like now we're in our 50s going, geez, so we don't, and listen, I want to say this too, like we're not trying to put down the great bands like Cheap Trick that can keep doing it forever and ever and ever. Do it, dudes. But we just feel like, we really feel that we can continue to do Godsmack just for our fans, not trying to sell anything. We're all successful. We don't have anything to prove anymore. And so, and we certainly like to make money too. I'm not going to sit here and say we don't get paid. We do. And we can still go out and just do it on our terms. Like, like Sully's like, yeah, my genius said, yeah. So we, we'll make this last record. We'll do the last cycle tour, which means tour our asses off for our people and for the label and for management, and try and make a shit ton of money for everybody and ourselves, and sell the hell out of this product, and then take a year off like we always would do anyway. And then the next call will be, hey guys, want to go out and do, 6 radio fests this summer?
Yeah. And be fun for the fun of it.
So, and we're still, I like this, I don't dye my hair, man. So, I think when it starts going gray, man, I don't know. Maybe I'm too old to play metal, I don't know.
Nah. You're just lucky you don't have any gray hair like us, but not the same.
Yeah.
Shannon matters.
We're stepping on each other there for a second. Shannon, I did have one question that's not music related, but I saw in your Wikipedia that you are a turtle enthusiast. So I have to ask you about, are you still at that?
Hey, look at that.
Oh, that is sweet. My son, Bruce, rescues turtles, and he's got a little 2-bedroom apartment with his girlfriend. And I think these 3 turtles that he rescues take up more space in his apartment than him and his girlfriend are allowed. He's got pens all over the place. I mean, it's amazing. So when I saw that, I called him up. I said, hey, just to let you know, Shannon is a turtle enthusiast. So tell me a little about your turtle enthusiasm. You have plenty, I assume?
Turtles.
Yeah, I have about 27 turtles, many different species, from, spotted Indians, and, I have red-eared sliders, I have albinos, I have diamondback terrapins, I have peninsula river cooters, and I just have a bunch of turtles. In a big pond, it's a 5,000-gallon turtle pond. But and I have 25. I had 26, but the hurricane took one of my koi fish. But I have 25 koi fish in a 33,000-gallon koi pond that that I basically had built, but not by pros. Like we did it. Me and 2 other guys did these ponds, and they're amazing, really amazing. And but the turtle thing, I started with just a 9 by 20 foot, like figure 8 shaped koi pond. And one of my buddies said, "Hey man, you should put a turtle in that koi pond. They won't hurt the fish, and it's a nice addition to the pond." And so I got a Mexican ornate slider, and I put her in this pond. And then I ended up falling in love with this turtle more than I love the koi. And she just, I don't know, thing. And so then that's when I said, "Oh wow!" And I mean, I went to Home Depot, and I'd never driven a one of those
Backhoe.
things. Yes, a backhoe. I rented a backhoe. They give you I swear. And then I built this 1,200 gallon turtle pond myself, and built it and made it in a triangular shape and blah blah blah. YouTube, you can pretty much do anything nowadays, but I overlooked a few things. So over the pandemic, I had to get a professional company come in and make it a lot bigger and with good overflow. And now my turtles are super happy. And I have indoor turtles too. And
They get little turtle doors, they go in and out.
I mean, if it's really interesting, like my cousin Tanya, she had these turtles. She worked at a animal rescue place, and she'd gotten 3 turtles 13 years ago, and she had these things. She didn't have cats, dogs, not that. She lives up in Virginia, and she had these 3 turtles. Well, anyway, year before last, she gets cancer, but she survives.
Okay, good.
Through. She's okay. She lived, and she's still alive and happy today, but it took a lot of her energy away. And these turtles, man, you got to change their water. That's the main thing. Good water, good turtle. Healthy water, healthy turtle. There you go. And so she didn't have the energy to drain 3 70-gallon tanks a week. So she calls me, says, "Hey man, can you take my turtles? And I love these turtles." And I said, "Yes." And I said, "You can send them," because I've had turtles sent to me before through the mail. If you overnight them and UPS does it, and you can go and pick them up. And so I said, "Yeah, send them." And she goes, "No, these things I love. 12 years I've had these, Shannon. They're my pets."
Yeah.
I'm driving. So she drove 17 hours down to Virginia with the turtle and gave me these turtles. But and I love these things. So I keep 2 of them indoors for her,
That's awesome.
But yeah, I'm kind of obsessed with turtles. And like drummers, you can talk to us about drums and we won't shut up. And I'm like that with turtles.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we get to see a little more of the human side, the non-drummer side of Shannon. I appreciate you sharing that story, and I'm going to let my son check this out too as well.
He'll love it.
Go ahead, Alon.
My turtle experience was going to Maui, and I forget the name of the beach. It's like Kapalua Bay or something. And there's this amazing coral reef, and there's all these massive sea turtles. And I literally bumped into one. This sea turtle was bigger than me. It was like 6 feet long. And I came up for air with my snorkel, and I was kind of like on my back sort of, and I bump into something, and I'm thinking shark or whatever, right? I'm like, oh shit, right? And I turn, there's a turtle head. He's looking at me with big eyes. I'm looking at him. We're both like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And then he just dove back down to the bottom and just was waiting for us all to go away. But it was incredible. So sea turtles are dope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've got turtles in the pond in the center of our of our community, and there's these huge carp. I mean, they're massive. They're massive. They're some of them are like, God, over 3 feet long, maybe 4 feet long. Some of these things, they're like insane. And you go to the edge, and you throw bread in the water, and they come up like sharks, right? And then you have the turtles. And so my son and I have this game where it's like you see the little turtle heads, and it's to try to get bread to the turtles before all the fish just like come swarming in and steal it away. So that's what's like, 1 point for me. Like fun.
Man,
Turtle Wars.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, Shannon, I mean, we could sit here and talk to you all day, and I know we could, but we got to let you run. But we really appreciate you taking time to come on our show here today. And good luck with the new music. I also love the You and I song as well, which I am also playing in my club. So you guys are doing a great job, and thank you so much.
Well,
real quick, any social media?
And I appreciate strippers and strip bars too, by the way.
Thank you.
Don't frequent them like I did in my younger days, but I do know that voodoo seems to be one of the numbers that
Yep.
they all
Classic.
love. And
Yes,
every
classic.
bar I've been to, it's a very slinky, sexy song to dance.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, very good. Real quick, will you share your social medias and website with us for the
Oh
band?
yeah, Godsmack.com. Also, if you can, check out scarsfoundation.com. It's a charity that we have, Godsmack, that's legit, and every penny goes to help people for suicide prevention, PTSD,
Awesome.
depression, drug addiction, alcoholism. I've been sober for over 6.5 years now.
Wow.
Myself.
Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. And the good thing, the best thing about Scars Foundation, there's people you can talk to, and that's usually what it is, man. If you have somebody that you can just reach out to, that's a stranger even, that's even better.
Yeah.
Because, you need to just get it out, let it out. And so scarsfoundation.com or godsmack.com, and there's a little button that you can hit for the Scars Foundation. But anybody needs somebody to talk to, man, we try and be there.
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
amazing. Absolutely outstanding. Shannon, thank you again so much.
Thank you, brother. Pleasure having you on.
Thanks for listening to Panda Off the Charts, presented by the Professional Adult Nightclub DJ Association. Now you know what's new. Get a full list of tracks from this show and previous shows at pandaoffthecharts.com.